Colossus is the most advanced lineup optimizer in daily fantasy sports. Lock and exclude players. Adjust player exposure to reduce risk of injury or poor performance. Customize individual projections or upload your own projections. Generate hundreds of optimal lineups in seconds. Name and save the best lineups. Create winning lineups for the top sites like DraftKings and FanDuel for free at dailyfantasycafe.com.
Hello and welcome to the DraftKings Daily Trot on Big Italy 42 here, talking about tonight's Saturday night slate. We're running out of Saturdays, we're running out of baseball here, so not a whole lot going on. Last night, like we indicated, looked like the Royals were going to get their day off after celebrating, or hopefully they celebrated. They should have. First division title since 1985. We saw the depleted lineup, and Carlos Carrasco became the easy top play, so hopefully you got on board with that and got yourself some Carlos Carrasco. And if you played on DraftKings, Rich Hill, very popular play, and that duo right there put you over 100 points by themselves. So that was an easy one. You get those two guys and you play Coors Field bats. And guess what? Tonight, you're going to get yourself two pitchers and you're going to play a bunch of Coors Field bats because we've got 7 games on tap. Not a lot of them particularly enticing. So as we're looking at pitchers, we're going to start off at the top. First one here is Felix Hernandez. Obviously, we know great pedigree for King Felix. Hasn't pitched great recently. Hasn't been bad, but he's going to pick him with Andrew Heaney, 7.5 run total, and at $11,100, I want Coors Field bats. So for me, Felix Hernandez, GPP option, not a guy I'll be playing a ton. As we know, he has great upside. He's still one of the better pitchers in baseball. I'll say better, not best, because he's not quite at that level right now, but he certainly has huge upside. It's just going to be tough to play him with Coors Field bats, which I think you have to do today, obviously in the short slate. So right behind him is Josh Tomlin, $10,800. He's been very consistent recently. Over his last 30 days, 25% strikeout rate with 10.5% swing and strike rate. What you don't like is the 50% fly ball rate, the 33% hard hit rate over the past month. But, I mean, I think you can stomach him. I think he's got a decent floor here. It is against Kansas City, though, so you're not expecting a whole lot of strikeouts. Maybe 5-6 if it gets you a quality start. But did go complete game, 2 earned runs with 6 strikeouts against Kansas City 2 starts ago. So I think he's the safer option if you're going to pay up than Felix Hernandez. But you got some other guys I like more. Jaime Garcia against Milwaukee. He's a guy who has not been great. He's been good recently. Obviously, he's a big-time favorite in this one with St. Louis going against that depleted lineup now. Minus 260 favorite, biggest one on the night by far. 7.5 run total. I think he's the guy, if you're going to pay mid to high price, I think he's the guy you got to get in your cash games. A guy that I love is going to have to be a tournament option because his price is getting up there. Tyler Duffy has been pitching great over the past month. 24.5% strikeout rate, 0 home runs in 24 2/3, 54.5% ground ball rate, 11.3% swing and strike rate too. So this is the guy who's not giving up. He's missing bats. He's not giving up hard contact. Just 22% over that span. Great tournament option against the Tigers team that I'm not going to say they've given up, but this is just simply not a good offense over the past couple weeks or even the past month, really. Other options for you, there are not a lot. I'll look at Chris Medlin at $5,000 against the Indians. We know the deal with Medlin recently. He's not striking anyone out, under 10%, but a ground ball rate of around 60, hard hit rate just 22%. Lots of soft contact, nice floor for $5,000. He's the guy you're probably going to have to mix in there so that you can get yourself some bats from the Coors Field games. All right, that's really it. I'm really not targeting these other guys. Brett Anderson would be a guy I would target against Colorado if it were not in Coors Field, but certainly not playing him in Coors Field tonight. Options at catcher, there's not a ton of them. I like Derek Norris at home against Jeremy Hellickson. We know Hellickson has reverse splits throughout his career, so that's a good spot for him. Outside of that, I'm getting Coors Field bats. It's going to be Yasmani Grandal against Kyle Kendrick. By the way, it's Kyle Kendrick Day, in case you didn't know. Get yourself some bats against Kyle Kendrick, as many as you can. I'd play myself against Kyle Kendrick. And other options, I love Wellington Castillo against the lefty and Robbie Erlin. Of course, it is at Petco. It's going to keep his ownership level down, but it's also a 7-game slate. So not guys like that aren't going to have particularly low ownership. And then cheap guys, it's whoever's in the lineup for Colorado. Tom Murphy, Dustin Garneau, whichever one of those guys is in, I'm more than willing to play those guys. And then Wilton Rosario against the lefty Anderson, $2,600. Not so much this year, but throughout his career, smashing left-handed pitching. So Wilton Rosario, going to be a great option for you there. First base, Paul Goldschmidt's got to be your top option if you're paying up. $5,200 against a lefty. and Robbie Erlin. I love that matchup. Robbie Erlin got smashed in his one start this season. So Arizona, nice contrarian stack for tonight on this short slate. Miguel Cabrera, 4,900 against Tyler Duffy. I mentioned Duffy's pitching well. Miggy's not hitting well, so that's pretty much a pass for me there. I like Eric Hosmer against Josh Tomlin, coming off a big game again last night, $4,500. Because your popular play, obviously, is going to be Adrian Gonzalez at 44. That's the guy you're going to have to play in your cash games against Kyle Kendrick, and be very surprised to see him not have a good game tonight in this matchup. Other guys that you can look at for a little bit cheaper, you got Justin Morneau. It's a lefty-lefty matchup, but he's not bad in lefty-lefty matchups, so you can give him a look. And Joe Mauer I like against Alfredo Simon, who's awful against left-handed batters this season, $3,800. Not a whole lot of upside, but certainly a contrarian play for you there. And then one more contrarian play I'll throw out there is going to be Albert Pujols against Felix Hernandez. Felix Hernandez just has not been great recently, like I mentioned. So Pujols, we know, it just takes one. I mean, he's got a ton of power, so I like looking his way as well. Second base options, you got to like Howie Kendrick. Kendrick matchup here, $4,900. He's in a great spot. Of course, his teammate Chase Utley there as well. Justin Turner, I'll probably prefer him at third base, but he's my favorite option there. In the righty-righty matchup, he's been great in righty-righty matchups this year. And Kyle Kendrick just happens to be the worst righty in all of baseball. D. Gordon is a lefty against Julio Teheran, who struggles with lefties. You know, he's got big stolen base upside as well, especially if we see A.J. Przenski behind the plate, who is just seemingly incapable of throwing anyone out. Ben Zobrist at $4,200, another option for you there. And, outside of that, you want Coors Field, but like I said, I'm not a huge DJ LeMahieu fan. He's a fine cash game play if you have to, but these Dodgers are cheap enough. That's the way I'll be going in this one. Third base, Nolan Arenado gets the lefty and Brett Anderson. Arenado, 0-for-4 last night. Everyone's going to be, I feel like it'll oppress his ownership. It shouldn't. It's one game. But he's going against the lefty. Ton of power at Coors Field. Makes a lot of sense to pay for him. You got Matt Carpenter at 49 against Tyler Wagner there. He's in a good spot. He's been hitting the ball very, very well. I love Miguel Sano and his upside against Alfredo Simon, who has been better against righties than lefties, but absolutely incredible power for Miguel Sano. So that's a good spot for him. As you're going down a little bit cheaper, Yasmani Tomas, if he's in the lineup here tonight, he's in a good spot at 3,200 against the lefty, and Robbie Erlin, who I mentioned, has been just god-awful recently. So that's a very good spot. And then Derek Dietrich's the cheap guy I'll be playing lefty against Julio Teheran, 2,600. Teheran struggles with lefties, struggles with fly balls, and struggles on the road. So I do like the Marlins lefties here. Shortstops, Corey Seager with that ridiculous $6,400 price tag. If he's in the lineup, you got to like him. He said he had sore legs, sat out yesterday. If he's back in, I like looking his way. I still love Francisco Lindor. I don't really care who he's facing. The guy's doing everything. Great spot for him at 48. You got Jose Reyes, you don't love against Brett Anderson. He really hasn't been doing much of anything recently, but you give him a look because he is in Coors Field. Jimmy Rollins, of course, if he's in the lineup, he will be. Of course, Seager's not. It looks like $3,800 for him is a fine option there. Ketel Marte at $3,700 is a fine option against Andrew Heaney. Outside of that, Eduardo Escobar against Alfredo Simon has cooled off since that hot stretch he had there for a little while, but he's certainly still an option. Outfield options for you here. You got some lefties against lefties here for Colorado, but I'm not going to shy away from them. Charlie Blackmon, the one I'd be considering in cash games. Dickerson, Cargo, probably more of tournament options, but at the same time, I want to get as much Coors Field exposure as I can. Neither one of those guys great against lefties, but I'll certainly get them into some of my lineups as well. Probably Dickerson more so than Carlos Gonzalez. He's sitting at $4,000. Carlos Gonzalez is $4,400, so a little bit of a discount for you there. Of course, all your Dodger outfielders are in the lineup, or which are in the lineup tonight. You're going to be considering Justin Ruggiano, $3,400. Carl Crawford, Andre Ethier, all cheap. And you've got a really, really cheap Chris Heisey, absolute min salary, if he's in the lineup here. He did start a couple days ago, hit a grand slam. You're certainly not chasing that. It's his only home run of the season. But if he's absolute minimum salary, it'll certainly open up some big things for you there. I mentioned those hitters from Arizona, mostly talking about A.J. Pollock in the outfit. I love him as a contrarian play there at $4,800. Mike Trout's only $4,400. He is facing King Felix, but that's a fine matchup there. You can look at the Cardinals, too, against Tyler Wagner. Tommy Pham, Piscotty, Matt Holliday's back now, Randall Grichuk. Those guys are all in decent spots there as well. And then any of these Minnesota outfielders as well. Aaron Hicks, Eddie Rosario, all those guys I'm looking at there. And then, of course, Christian Yelich. I much prefer him as a lefty to Marcell Ozuna, the righty, against Julio Teheran. And that's going to wrap things up. Nice short slate for you here tonight. Find us on Twitter at DF Cafe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out the rest of our great content at dailyfantasycafe.com.